to see this through until early November and the World Series. The roster's young. Very few players have postseason experience. Manager Brandon Hyde won the World Series with the Cubs. I asked him when they clinched the East last Thursday what it takes. He said good starting pitching and defense. And this roster believes they are built for October ball after all they proved this season.
Very. Probably one of the most complete teams you're going to find, so it'll be fun.
We have a really good year. We play hard all year long. So it's time to take 2 days off and get back to work and come back stronger for the weekend.
Don't know really what to expect, but it's exciting to be a part of this whole ride, this whole year. So, like I said, we're ready to go.
The Orioles will host the winner of the Rays-Rangers wild card Saturday and Sunday at Camden Yards. The O's will hit the road for either Texas or Tampa Bay October 10th, 11th. Back home, if necessary, Game 5 October 13th. Game times and networks still undecided as well. That should all be set by the conclusion of the wild card rounds for the American League Thursday evening.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, Kevin McCarthy removed his House Speaker in a historic vote, the latest from our alert desk. And who do voters think is a better fit for City Hall? Current Mayor Brandon Scott or former Mayor Sheila Dixon? A major headline from a new poll.
Fox 45 following breaking news. Congressman Kevin McCarthy has been removed as Speaker of the House, who will temporarily take his place as reaction continues to come in from lawmakers. And two new polls giving insight into the minds of Marylanders. What voters think of current Mayor Brandon Scott and how Democrats feel when it comes to the current juvenile justice laws.
And another warm day, officially making it to 86 this afternoon. I'm going to let you know how long the unseasonable warmth lasts and if it could be much cooler for weekend plans in my Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News following two breaking news stories. First, the U.S. House of Representatives has voted to oust Representative Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker in an historic vote. Let's go to Maxine with the very latest. Maxine.
Well, Mary, this marks the first time a House Speaker has ever been removed from Congress through a resolution. And the vote on the motion to vacate was 216 to 210, with 8 Republicans voting to remove McCarthy from the speakership. Before the final vote, the House failed to table or block the effort to oust McCarthy. The effort to remove him was led by Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who accused McCarthy of breaking promises and folding to Democrats. North Carolina Representative Patrick McHenry has been named interim speaker, with his official title being Speaker Tempore. The House will still have to elect a new speaker, but it will be a challenge for anyone to gain enough support among both parties to win the gavel. Following the vote, reporters caught up with Congressman Gaetz on the Capitol steps.
Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
Gaetz also telling reporters he would be putting his support behind Louisiana Representative Steve Scalise to be the next House Speaker. According to CNN, the House GOP will have a conference meeting tonight, though it's not officially scheduled. Votes for a new House Speaker are not expected tonight. Mary.
Maxine, thank you. Also breaking tonight, the city is poised to bring back the former leader of the Department of Public Works, Jason Mitchell. Tomorrow, the Board of Estimates is set to approve a one-year, $72,000 contract for Mitchell. Mitchell announced his plan to resign as DPW director in January, citing family concerns. Remember, he was director when DPW failed to comply with federal regulations during the E. coli outbreak last September. Now, according to the state, the city failed to notify the public soon enough after learning the drinking water was contaminated. Now Mitchell will return to the agency that's back in the spotlight, facing scrutiny after low levels of a parasite were found in the Druid Hill Reservoir. The city's spending board will meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. Two new major polls out today showing where Maryland voters stand. The Goucher and Gonzalez polls asking Marylanders for their opinion on leaders in Baltimore, Annapolis, and beyond, along with key issues like juvenile crime policy and education. One of the major standouts from the first part of the Goucher poll is the new data on the Baltimore mayoral election. The poll finding Mayor Brandon Scott could be facing a tough bid for re-election against Sheila Dixon. Tonight, she's weighing in on the poll and how she hopes to turn Baltimore around. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has that story for us.
The primary election is still months away, but voters are already starting to think about who they'd like to see lead the city next. The race right now seemingly between Mayor Brandon Scott and former Mayor Sheila Dixon. And a new Goucher College poll surveying more than 700 Baltimore voters found Dixon on top.
My first thought when I read this poll is it's a 5-alarm fire for Brandon Scott.
According to the poll, 56% of voters say they disapprove of the job Brandon Scott is doing as mayor. If the race were held today, just 27% said they would vote to re-elect Mayor Brandon Scott. 39% would vote for former Mayor Sheila Dixon.
You're an incumbent. You should be a lot closer than this huge margin that's out there.
While 23% would prefer another candidate. Dixon says it's clear people are looking for something new.
People want accountability. People want you to be responsive. People want change. And we're talking about all ages, race, geographic communities.
When asked who could handle a series of key issues, Dixon came out on top in every single category. The poll finding crime and public safety is the most pressing issue facing the city, as nearly half of voters feel crime has gotten worse in their neighborhood over the past year. 50% said they believe Dixon could better handle reducing crime and improving overall public safety.
It's very clear that people don't feel safe. So we can, this administration can tout the reduction, which, is one thing, but people don't feel safe in the city.
And 46% said they trust Dixon with public education.
We can't do things because now it's an election year. Everything that we have to do has to be intentional and consistent so that we can show the citizens and residents that we're spending our high tax dollars in an effective way, but that we're providing the kind of quality services that every community deserves and needs.
Political analyst John Deedy says while this primary may end up looking a whole lot like the last, this time Dixon may prevail.
I think that part of the reason he's behind is I think when he ran, there was so much hope and promise, but the murder rate the first 3 years hasn't been very good. Things are getting better. And voters will look at the last year more than they'll look at the first three. So I think that he's got a couple little things going long term, but I think he should be concerned because a lot of the comments were along the lines of people are frustrated with city services too.
We reached out to the mayor's office for comment and did not hear back. But just yesterday, we questioned the mayor about the several problems facing his administration, asking if the current state of Baltimore is what voters should expect to see if he wins re-election.
What I'll say again is that we're always putting forth the best team. We're going to continue to put forth the best team possible, but we know that some people are going to leave and take jobs. We're going to continue to fill those positions as quickly as possible, but also maintaining our ability to be a high-functioning city government.
Well, Fox 45 has reached out to both Mayor Scott and Sheila Dixon, inviting the two candidates to participate in a series of town halls leading up to the Democratic primary. Sheila Dixon has agreed to attend a Fox 45 town hall on October 24th, where she will answer your questions and share her plans to address the biggest issues facing Baltimore. Mayor Scott has not responded. Well, the new polls also giving us insight into how voters view other key city leaders. 26% approve of the job Nick Mosby is doing as city council president. 60% disapprove and 13% don't know. Meantime, the Gotcha poll shows Baltimore voters are giving City State's Attorney Ivan Bates a solid review. According to poll results, 57% approve of the job Ivan Bates is doing as Baltimore City State's Attorney. 21% disapprove and 20% don't know. In addition to the solid job approval rating from voters in the poll, Maryland U.S. Attorney Eric Barron has pointed to the new partnership between Bates and himself as a reason behind a drop of homicides and non-fatal shootings in the city this year. Well, second major poll out today. This one from Gonzalez Research shows growing support for tougher penalties for juvenile offenders in Maryland. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost breaks down the results for us.
The poll indicates a fractured Democratic Party when it comes to holding young people accountable who commit violent crimes. These numbers also come just months before the next General Assembly session, suggesting Governor Wes Moore and other Democrats have work to do to coalesce around one plan moving forward. This new Gonzalez poll out Tuesday morning shows Democrats are split when it comes to juvenile crime laws.
Holding the individuals accountable and responsible.
Pollster Patrick Gonzalez taking a deeper dive into the policy debate, a topic impacting communities in every corner of Maryland, sparking conversations among some lawmakers.
I'm not sure it's because there has been a drop in juvenile crime.
To start reviewing the current juvenile justice laws, especially not charging kids 13 and younger with certain misdemeanor offenses, like car thefts, which is driving crime numbers up from urban Baltimore City, Montgomery, and Prince George's counties to rural Carroll, Wacomico, and Queen Anne's counties.
What we found statewide, 59% of Marylanders say we need a strict approach. 35% said a more moderate approach.
But the split within the Democratic Party is where Gonzalez says the numbers get interesting.
When we looked within the Democratic group and broke it up by white Democrats and black Democrats, they're polar opposites.
62% of white Democrats say they support a more lenient approach to juvenile offenders, while 62% of black Democrats support stricter laws. Did that surprise you?
It did, because whenever you see black Democrats aligning more with the Republican Party than with their own base, that's problematic.
When we have this poll showing 62% of black Democrats are aligned with stricter laws, what does that mean for the Democratic Party come January?
Well, that's going to be a challenge. Get a sense, listen to each of your members. listen hard. Don't go along as many times you do where everybody's corralled and everybody just kind of goes along to get along. Listen to what they're saying on the important stuff.
Given the poll, we sent several questions to Governor Westmore about 62% of black Democrats supporting stricter penalties for younger offenders, asking, do you agree? Do you plan to introduce legislation to roll back some of the juvenile justice reforms that make it difficult to prosecute juveniles? The question remains whether Democrats can build a coalition in time for legislation in January.
Be real serious about this, because this is real serious stuff.
But this poll suggests voters support a change. The governor's office acknowledged our questions, saying they would get me a comment, but so far we haven't received one. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you think lawmakers in Annapolis will follow the will of the voters in the latest polling? So far, 92% of those who voted say no. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Hunter Biden pleads not guilty in federal court, but the major questions revolve around what's next. I'm Christine Frizzell with the details straight ahead.
And if you're spending this evening out, it looks like maybe going out for a little bit of dinner or just trying to take a little bit of a walk. Temperature 70s falling into the 60s. I'll let you know when we could have highs in the 60s. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
President Biden's son Hunter faced a federal judge today over charges he made false statements about his drug use at the time he purchased a gun back in October of 2018. It comes as Republicans on Capitol Hill are working on their own case against Hunter Biden. National correspondent Christine Frizzell joins us live on Capitol Hill tonight. And Christine, this is a major turn of events from the last time Hunter Biden was in court, isn't it?
That's right, Mary. And that was back in July when Hunter Biden was about to plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanor charges and had what's called a diversion agreement on the gun charge, a plan essentially rejected by the judge, a move that followed by the prosecutor David Weiss being appointed special counsel.
Hunter Biden in a federal court in Delaware. The plea?
not guilty to 3 gun-related charges filed against him last month by special counsel David Weiss, who is reportedly now working on more federal charges connected to Hunter's foreign business deals.
The Committee on Oversight and Accountability will come to order.
House Republicans, meanwhile, ratcheting up their case against both Hunter Biden and President Biden after their first impeachment inquiry hearing was criticized as falling flat.
The committee has received 12,000 pages of bank records, and not a single page shows a dime going to President Joe Biden.
So, for upcoming hearings, they're working on a new round of witnesses to testify under oath, including one who has claimed for years to have firsthand knowledge of the business deals, a former partner, Tony Bobulinski.
Hunter and Jim Biden were paranoid about keeping Joe Biden's involvement secret.
Bobulinski himself set to receive 20% before the deal fell through, later telling former Sinclair correspondent James Rosen,
"This isn't my word. This is extremely well documented that Joe Biden was fully aware of things and involved."
House investigators also just releasing dozens of pages of WhatsApp messages. In one, Hunter Biden writes, "100K at least gets me until next month." His advisor Fran Persons responds, quote, "He will help you with what you need," referring to Chinese Communist Party-linked businessman Bo Zhang. Part of what Republicans say is a long list of payments from Chinese-linked businesses.
The Biden family members and Biden-associated businesses received over $1 million from State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese company. For what? What was the product or what was the service?
Those questions remain at the heart of the investigation by lawmakers who say the product was Joe Biden. As Democrats say, this is simply Republicans trying to distract from former President Donald Trump's mounting issues with the law. Mary?
And Christine, as far as what we saw today with Hunter Biden in court, what do we expect to happen next?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Hunter Biden's legal team has already, kind of shown us part of their strategy. They're going to challenge the constitutionality of those gun charges. They also plan to argue that the original plea deal that fell apart, in which Hunter Biden planned to plead guilty in exchange for that diversion agreement, Hunter Biden's lawyers say that deal is still in place, but it's clear that federal prosecutors have essentially said no. They're starting over, and we have seen this with the charges they filed last month. Mary?
All right, Christine Frizzell, live for us in D.C. tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, the Fox triple cast this evening, looking good with the sunshine and the Mile 1 Taos cam, the Toyota Shiner Harbor Sky Cam over downtown and Camden Yards, and on the HT radar, way out there, the approach of our next weather maker in the Midwest, and that is going to be the means to the end of, unfortunately, if you like the warm weather, all of these warm temperatures. 80 degrees right now, clear skies here in Baltimore at BWI. Winds out of the east-southeast at 6 miles an hour. Humidity 54%. Feels like just 1 degree warmer than it actually is. 81 degrees with just a smidge of humidity. 80 degrees now here in Baltimore. We're at 79 at Cockeysville, 81 at Columbia. A little bit cooler near the water, but not by much. About 75 to 80 there. Hit 86 this afternoon. Should be at 74 this time of year, and it looks like we do it all over. That's right. Again, tomorrow, compliments of fair weather high pressure off the coast, going to continue to pump in the warmth. That's going to be our latest weather maker. But the next weather maker, there it is, all the rain, even some severe weather across portions of Nebraska all the way down toward West Kansas. And behind it, oh, yes, it gets a lot cooler, clear, warm. Again, that high pressure system smack dab almost overhead right now continues to influence our weather through basically almost the end of the week. By Friday, though, there's that system with the rain. And then Saturday and beyond, oh, yes, it's going to get a lot colder around here. Temperatures, and I say colder, may not get out of the 60s for highs. Now, out in the tropics, still one system we're watching, Philippe. Look at all these red clouds. That's the very high cloud-topped thunderstorms, very efficient rain producers over portions of the British Virgin Islands, maybe some flooding there. Otherwise, Philippe is late for a date as we head through the next several days. It's going to shift northbound and eventually become extratropical as it heads towards the Canadian Maritimes. Future scan overnight into early tomorrow morning. Could see some patchy fog toward tomorrow daybreak. Temperature settling to around 60. That's warm for this time of year. Should be in the 40s for lows. And there you go, back into the 80s again for tomorrow afternoon. So the forecast for tonight, 60. Mostly clear, some fog towards the morning. Watch out for that. And starting off with a patch or two of fog, otherwise mostly sunny, warm again with a high near 86. I'm going to let you know when we could finally see those 60s for highs return. My exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Atmospheric refraction over Lake Ontario gives the sun a mushroom-like appearance as it sets in Oswego, New York. It was a foggy start to the morning in Johnstown, Pennsylvania at the historic Incline Plane, which remains closed until next year for renovations. And fall colors meet winter snow at Montana's fabulous Glacier National Park.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
A new lawsuit filed against the Archdiocese of Washington accusing church staff of sexually abusing children. Coming up, we hear from one of the victims. A class action lawsuit was filed against the Archdiocese of Washington yesterday, accusing church staff of sexually abusing 3 anonymous people. The lawsuit comes just one day after the Maryland Child Victims Act of 2023 went into effect. Kelly Lynn from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has the story.
I was abused when I was in high school. It was Archbishop Keough High School.
Teresa Lancaster shared old photos with me that capture her at the age of 16 when she says the abuse happened.
He threatened me. The very first time I was in his office, I wasn't in there for more than 5 minutes, and he had all my clothes off, had me sitting on his lap. He had a gun on the desk, and he basically told me nobody would believe me if I said anything.
Attorney Jonathan Shakur tells me many sexual abuse victims are like Lancaster and often wait years before they pursue legal action against their attackers. He says that's why the Maryland's Child Victims Act is so important.
It eliminates the statute of limitations so that sexual abuse victims may come forward, access our civil justice system, and gain some closure
On October 1st, the day the new law took effect, Shakur's law group and another firm jointly filed a class action child sex abuse lawsuit in Prince George's County against the Archdiocese of Washington.
The stories that I've heard are bone crushing. And I am absolutely committed to taking care of my clients and moving forward.
The payments they would give to survivors, it's a beginning. It's a starting block to say, hey, we're sorry. Your entire life was altered by this occurrence, and we want to make it right.